rig the system with their gerrymandering, often illegal gerrymandering.
There is gerrymandering doing fairly well in states controlled by the Republicans.
Listen, political gerrymandering is probably one of the greatest threats to our democracy right now.
Gerrymandering, the drawing and redrawing of local districts to help ensure that a particular party gets a majority of votes and House seats.
In both parties, there are congressional districts that are set up by the states to keep the parties in power.
The rigged system of redistricting allows politicians to choose their people, rather than vice versa.
Hi, I am Safira. Did you guys see the footage that I just shown you? For your information, that footage contains many examples of gerrymandering. That is right. Today, I will be discussing about gerrymandering and how it can be prevented through tolerance and compassion. I'm also going to talk about how we should face a political feud by having some tolerance and compassion towards each other. Okay, so for those of you who do not know the meaning of gerrymandering, gerrymandering happens when a political group tries to change a voting district to create a result that helps them. However, it hurts groups who are against them. So basically, gerrymandering is a form of manipulation that is being conducted through United States Census data. That is right. It happens in the United States and casually happens every 10 years following the release of the United States Census data. Now, this action can be considered as a form of insult towards tolerance in the context of political view. And this action needs to be stopped because it can jeopardize the practice and existence of democracy, basically. Now, the reason why I choose gerrymandering is because some people here have the same energy of arbitrariness when it comes to political view. Now, these things reminds me of gerrymandering that happens in the United States. Although we do not have gerrymandering case ourselves, probably we do not have that. However, the resemblance in the context of arbitrariness is uncanny and it's horrific in so many ways. And let us go back to the footage that I have just shown you, okay? Now, what is it? The one word that we can use to describe the footage. Is it community? Is it disunity? Is it violence or others? Or probably it's boring because it only talks about politics that are just so complex and annoying and aching in the same time. You know what? You can describe it with many words in many ways, as many as you liked. However, in my opinion, gerrymandering happens because of intolerance. As we all know that intolerance is the opposite of tolerance and compassion. Now, let me tell you an example of gerrymandering. It is a case that happened in 1996 and it happened in Texas. The name of the case is Farah versus Bush. Now, Texas used a very sophisticated data and software to redraw their district based on race. You know what? Race was used to create a Hispanic and African American districts. Later, the United States Supreme Court decided that it was a crime of gerrymandering. Wow, what a surprise. So anyways, we all know that history repeated itself, and in 2018 there was another case of gerrymandering that happened. However, the name of the case in 2018 was Abbott versus Paris. Now, probably some of you asking me this, so what it has to do with tolerance and compassion? Hear me out, folks. Gerrymandering will not be happening if it's not for retaliation. in my opinion, actually. If we have tolerance and compassion towards each other, then we will perceive the most peaceful political life that ever existed, honestly. Now, as we all know that tolerance should be part of our daily life. If we want to have a peaceful daily life, a day without an argument regarding political view or political sides or political references, then we ought to have tolerance in our lives. Now, let us drop gerrymandering for a second and let us see what is going on near us. Let us see from ourselves. Ask ourselves, have we done things that is almost as close as gerrymandering? Have we manipulated a fact only to gain our own satisfaction and our own benefit? And how many times do we do that without realizing it? Now, let me tell you my experience about having a argument regarding a political feud. So, someone and I had a feud regarding our political references. And you know what? It was so childish. I regret it immediately. And from that day, I agree to myself that we shouldn't have that kind of conversation again. Not conversation about politics, but conversation about who is right and who is wrong about politics. Because that is just so childish and so inconvenient to have that kind of conversation is. Okay, so anyways, I agree to not to be a stubborn individual anymore and just to accept differences regarding political view that is going on near me. And I also have the experience to witness many political arguments that is going on online platform. And you know what? It is okay to discuss about political things through online platform. What is not okay is to start a fierce argument in online platform, because that fierce argument can lead to another problem, such as the rules about ICE, and people can get jailed for that, you know. So let's just stop that. Let's just stop that habit of having the most inconvenience political arguments ever. You see that kind of thing will not be happening if each person will not consider their opinion as the rightest opinion ever. When we talk about conveying opinion, we know that we cannot have a 100% opinion that is correct, because as humans we make mistakes. And for that, when we refute someone's opinion, we need to rethink, we need to reconsider, we need to see things from two sides, because there are always two sides from each story. And when we faced problems in political view, we should not see that from one side, we should see that from two sides. Anyways, we have to have tolerance, because if no one wants to back up from the whose opinion is better competition, then we will not receive a very good outcome. We will come out as a selfish person, because we want our argument to be precise and to be right, regardless it is being right or not. And we shouldn't do that anymore. Now, the secret ingredients to have a peaceful political view is tolerance, okay? We need to have differences in our life in order to contain diversity. And also, we need to face differences with open hearts and open minds. We also shouldn't have things being exaggerated in our political experiences, such as A is my favorite politician and A did something awful, And because you are so fanatic, you think that whatever A did wrong is for the best. That is wrong. That is just so wrong. We shouldn't done that. We shouldn't have done that. We need to have tolerance, to appreciate others' opinion, and to respect what others thought, because we live socially. We do not live individually. We need to respect others. Now let us go back to gerrymandering things. In gerrymandering, in my opinion, I think the politicians need to have more compassion rather than to have tolerance. Do not get me wrong, tolerance is important. But let us see the definition of gerrymandering once again. A particular group of parties in political view tries to change a voting district only to obtain some kind of benefit for their own and hurts other in the progress. You know, this seems like retaliation for me. And to discard that retaliation, we need to have compassion towards each other. Of course, not only that, we also need to have tolerance towards each other. Ladies and gentlemen, to acquire a profound image and a profound peaceful sense for our political view, we need to see it objectively instead of subjectively. We need to believe that we are not the righteous side. There is no such thing as the righteous side. Because in building a country, people often consider it to be a kind of easy things to do for a particular side of parties in political view. However, when we are building a country, we need to help each other, like physically and mentally, especially in politics. Back in the gerrymandering case, in my opinion, adults do not throw tantrums in their government seats. Adults need to see things from what I said is two ways and two directions. And in conclusion, tolerance and compassion really involved in the progress of political view, in the progress of making a better political view, in the progress of how should we create a better comprehension for our political life. Ladies and gentlemen, please do appreciate your opponent's thoughts and opinions, because you can be wrong. Thank you.